and welcome to our SuperNerds podcast. This is something new for us, so patient with us if we get things wrong or whatever, like I just did then. And I'll move it over to Ian.
Hello everybody, this is our Spider-Man special. We've got with us two guests today. We've got Ben Fenlon, who I've never met anybody who's got as much comic knowledge as this man. We've got Simon Jennings from SLIGaming, who is a massive Spider-Man fan.
Feel free to say hello.
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 And obviously there's Tim and myself. So hello and welcome to our podcast. So Spider-Man, let's start. I'll start with you first, Ben. Just give us a quick roundup. What do you think of the previous instalments of the Spider-Man films?
The previous instalments of the Spider-Man films have been okay. There's been a couple of classics. There's been Spider-Man 2 and there's been some of Spider-Man 3. But overall, I think it's slightly underwhelming for what they could be. I'd like to have seen more comic book elements as opposed to science, really. They were a bit, you know.
Yeah.
They were a bit, oh, let's go in the lab, oh, let's play with stuff. It's like, no, I want to see a man with a fishbowl on his head launching fog at Peter Parker, and I want to see, you know, a vampire chasing him around the city, eating plasma with his hands. As
I always say in SuperNerds, I want to see the fantastic. I want to see grounded things and watch the telly.
Yeah.
Simon?
Yeah, I mean, I can't really watch them anymore. The older ones, the Raimi ones, they just make me cringe. You know what I mean? When I'm watching, it's when he does that stupid crying face. It really does.
But snot bubble comes out.
Yeah, but you know, they paved the way in that for Amazing Spider-Man for me. I thought they were two great films, and that they didn't exactly get everything right with it, but I love the fact of how he looked. He looked sleek in the suit and that. And yeah, I can watch them two more than I can watch the others, although the fight scene in number 2 was absolutely superb on the train. So yeah.
Tim?
I think one of the things that I liked more than like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man in the newer films was the banterish Spider-Man, where he's really quirky and funny. Like in the Sam Raimi ones, he wasn't quite as funny all the time. He maybe had one line where he just like said a little joke, but he's always really funny and quirky. And this in the newer one was much better for me in the Amazing Spider-Man's ones. As for the storylines, I thought they tailed off sometimes too quick or too short, depending on what they were on about. Some of the action was fantastic, but they've used a lot of slow-mo in the second one, like the sort of Matrix style where they did the cam thing. I thought that was dragged out a little bit too long.
My views on them was when Spider-Man 1 came out, loved it. Not so much now when I watch it back. Spider-Man 2 is a classic comic book film for me. It's still one of the best. It's still right up there with your X-Men Days of Future Past and your Avengers films. It's right up there. It's a top-notch comic book film, Spider-Man 2 for me. Spider-Man 3, I was heavily disappointed by it. When I seen Sandman and Venom were both going to be in there, I thought it was going to be the best film ever. Turned out being far from it. Amazing Spider-Man 1. First one, I loved it. I loved Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. The Amazing Spider-Man 2, it's got a lot of flack, but what I loved in Spider-Man 2, and I thought the best bits about Spider-Man 2 was when he actually wasn't in the suit. I found the chemistry between him and Emma Stone.
More of a drama, love drama.
When them two were on screen together, even when he was in the suit, I just thought when Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone were on screen together in the second one, it worked.
Yeah, they had a good chemistry.
But they were a real couple at the same time.
Yeah.
That's why that worked.
It just felt natural and didn't feel forced and that, and it was just nice to watch. It wasn't like this is a bit cringy. It was like the playfulness of it and that. It just like dead sweet.
Yeah, it got the emotion across. Right?
Yeah, it did.
I do feel like the Amazing Spider-Man films were sort of really harsh on the Stacy family.
Yeah.
Like, the first one, it was like, a dad died, it was like, never speak to my daughter again. And the second one, he kills the daughter after being visited by the ghost of the dad. I thought, if he made the third one, it'd just be like the two kids walking through the park and the rhino would stand on them.
Like, here we go, left now.
Yeah, where's Gwen's nan?
Well, you know what?
I'm a warning on this podcast, and maybe spoils any of the Spider-Man films. I don't know. Like.
You know what? I'm all for comics being canon, right? But as soon as I seen the costume, like when Stacey was wearing it, and the first image that came out, I thought, they killed it off.
Yeah.
As soon as I seen that costume, because it was the classic costume.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was the old stuff anyway, on to the new stuff. Right, I'll go in the same order again. What was your reaction to the Marvel and Sony deal, Ben?
The Marvel and Sony deal was impressive for everyone. I think. I don't know. I think we saw it coming. There was rumours for a while with them leaked emails, and then when it was finally confirmed, I think it was just we were all relieved that Spider-Man was going to be with people that knew how to make a Spider-Man film and how to use Spider-Man as a character, because you know that the MCU Spider-Man is going to be funny. He's going to be a young kid. He's going to have great power, which with almost must come great responsibility. Yeah, it's going to be the Spider-Man, and the skip in the intro, the skip in the origin, we're not going to see another version.
We don't need to see him being bit by yet another Spider.
Spider-Man should be approached like James Bond or Batman. You don't need everyone know. If you don't know who Spider-Man is, he's like Coca-Cola. He's recognised.
If you don't know who Spider-Man is, you're not going to go and see the film, are you?
Exactly.
I was just made up. I mean, like Ben said, we've seen speculation on Twitter and on the internet for weeks running up to it with the leaked emails and that with the Sony hack and stuff was coming up, and it was like, could this be? You know, it was like, and as soon as it was confirmed, it was like, yes, this will do so much good for the franchise just to bring it back in and that. And I was just absolutely blown away. I just thought, you know, come on, this can be something special.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think from like a Sony's perspective, I mean, Sony are hemorrhaging money in all their companies, apart from PlayStation and their movie business. And I think even the movie business was struggling because Spider-Man 2 didn't do as well as they thought it would.
Still did quite well.
It still did well, but I don't think it did as well as they thought it would.
Because they had 800 million, which is short.
Well, they had loads of sequels scheduled to come after them and stuff, and then they just dropped it.
Which is why the guy who was the showrunner on the Daredevil series left.
Yeah,
he left to do Sinister Six, which got scrapped.
That's right. Yeah, he did. Yeah, and that was his dream thing to do.
It was, yeah.
So he might get handed something else to do.
He might get it back. It's
all together.
Yeah.
So I think Sony's perspective, from like, if you put a business hat on, it makes complete sense. They've got all the eggs in one. Well, not all the eggs in one basket. Sorry, they've secured themselves a good load of money, and they've got an amazing deal. They hold all the cards, basically. That's what I was trying to say, not the eggs, the cards. They hold all the cards. They've got the rights to everything still, but they're just letting Marvel use, the rights on their side of their MCU universe, and then they can just make their own standalone films in the MCU universe in their way, which hopefully will come off good.
Kevin
Kevin Feige.
So you listen and tell us how to say your name. He's got the creative control over the Sony films.
Yes.
So Sony are essentially letting someone make their movies and then getting all the profit.
Well, they're as far as I know, giving the money for the first film now.
They're giving up the creative control and creaming all of the profits, which is...
Yeah. So I think that's clever management, really, for once. With Sony, I've got some...
Well, one thing I forgot about, didn't he try and get the Oscorp Tower put in the first Avengers film and that?
Or was it the Stark Tower?
Was it one either which way, but it was very early on that they've tried to get this going, and that fell flat. So that was an early attempt by Marvel, it would have been Marvel, wouldn't it? Yeah. Sony wouldn't have been in for it.
But the big thing for me is getting the Spider-Man characters in the MCU toy box. If you've got Norman Osborn, director of Sword, having a rivalry with S.H.I.E.L.D. trying to take over, you've got Siege, you've got the War on Asgard, you've got the Thunderbolts, you can have Venom and Bullseye, and imagine like DC have got Suicide Squad. Oh yeah, it's going to be awesome. How good would it be if Marvel did their own version and did Thunderbolts, led by the Red Hulk or something? General Ross is coming back into Civil War.
Well, I said that to you, didn't I? The week I said there's a reason that Thunderbolt Ross is there and the Hulk isn't.
Yeah, Red Hulk.
So I know the Avengers movie had a lot of hints and stuff in stuff, going into Civil War. Just hints. I think Civil War is going to be the all-out, real new start to their phase now. It's going to just unload all this stuff
Without being sorry to
No, go
interrupt
ahead.
on that. Without being a spoiler, I watch Agents of Shield, and with what's just happened at the end of season 2, it basically explodes the Marvel universe to a hell of a lot more heroes
I might have to
coming
start watching
through,
it then.
and that.
Been teasing the Inhumans and the Kree, haven't they?
Yeah.
The
okay.
Inhumans
Yeah,
are
yeah.
in there. They, does anyone else watch it? Is it just me?
No,
I do watch it. I just
In and
fell
out.
behind.
Oh, right.
I'm about halfway through
So,
season 2.
the Inhumans are in there. They do call themselves the Inhumans, but not the ones from the comics.
Not the good Inhumans.
Yeah. But basically, I don't want to spoil it because it has only just really finished quite recently, but there's a big thing that happens at the end that will blow up the whole movie universe for other heroes just popping up and stuff like that, and people with abilities, because we know for the fact that they can't use the word mutant,
Which is
can
why
they?
the Inhumans are getting such a push.
Exactly, so these are exceptional people,
Yeah.
is it what they call it in the
Yeah.
Avengers?
Yeah.
So, or anomalies.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see a lot more of these just popping up
enhanced
now.
as well. Did you
Yeah.
say?
Enhance the
But
that
it's not
phrase.
far off what happened in the comics. At the end of Infinity, Black Bolt set off a Terrigen bomb with the Terrigen mists going over the whole planet, and everyone who was a secret Inhuman who didn't know it suddenly gained powers, and it was a way to. I think it's a way to replace the X-Men.
You know what, that's so nearly close to it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but on a smaller scale, not big person doing it, but yeah.
Someone running around with an Inhuman super soaker, spraying people willy nilly.
Something goes in the sea. I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that because we were getting a bit too. What's going on? Something goes in the sea.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So we'll have to watch that now then.
Yeah.
So next part, probably second part of that question is, what does the deal mean to you? What does the Marvel Sony deal mean to you?
I think I'm going to have to repeat myself. I think I've jumped the gun a bit, but again, yeah, it's encouraging that we're getting the Spider-Man characters, and to me it just opens up the Marvel cinematic universe massively, and it just allows more scope and more breadth and deeper storylines. Because the Spider-Man, what's the word I'm looking for? The smaller characters, like, although it's a big
Supporting cast?
Yeah, the supporting cast, there we go.
Yeah.
Those characters are huge, and they do filter with other comics, like Flash Thompson, Agents of Venom, became in Guardians of the Galaxy, and
Yeah.
I think little things like that, you'd love to see Mysterio pop up in the Daredevil series.
Been dying for Mysterio to be in anything for years.
Yeah.
It's mainly the bad guys everyone wants to see.
But
Isn't it?
Spider-Man's got the best rogues gallery in Marvel. Like, who's Iron Man got? The Mandarin
Oh yeah.
and Mickey Rourke.
Well,
Yeah.
What was that dragon called?
Fing Fang Fing.
well,
Giant dragon and purple underpants.
Yeah.
see, when you come to it, if you're looking at it that way, Spider-Man is probably the Batman of Marvel
Without doubt.
when
Yeah.
it comes to his rogues gallery, isn't he?
He is the poster boy.
He's the
Because if
rogues.
you ask someone, name some supervillains, they'll go with the Joker, the Green Goblin, Dr. Octopus, Lex Luthor. I mean, Spider-Man's bad guys are like hugely. Even his bad ones, the rubbish ones, like the Shocker. Shocker's still quite good. The Rhino.
People have been asking for the Shocker.
Yeah.
It's still a bad one, but people still want this fella in pyjamas fighting the electricity, don't they?
There was actually a comic last year or the year before about Spider-Man's rubbish bad guys starting a team. It's called The Superior Foes of Spider-Man. It's like a comedy comic, but it's so worth checking out.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Yeah.
The Shocker and Boomerang and just what they get up to.
Simon, what does it mean for you?
You know, just to mirror what Ben said, it means a lot because there is so much they can milk out of this now.
Yeah.
Then again, that sounds quite bad saying milk because it's a rich universe, Spider-Man. There's so much to come out of it. You know, the lineup of baddies, as Ben said, there's tons of them.
Well, yeah, then here's an extra question for you right now. I'll go around three of you.
Go on.
Hot quiz, hot chat.
By having Spider-Man in the Marvel Universe, right, would you prefer to have him in the Marvel Universe, or would you prefer to have Spider-Man in his own universe but done properly?
I'd rather have the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, that's it.
I think with that one, because Spider-Man can play a secondary role with the other characters to help and bring them along in the Marvel Universe, whereas in a standalone film, he's the leading character and so it's harder for him to be better in that because he has to stand out more. But with the others, he's got the others around him. He's got Thor, he's got Iron Man, he's got all the rest. Like Hulk can just smash him.
This is it.
Even on a small scale.
Is he gonna look up to these guys? Do you know what I mean? Because how long is he gonna be Spider-Man in this film? Because as we've all just said, he's not getting an origin.
Yeah.
We might get flashbacks of a sort or something, but he's going to be in suit from the get-go. So are these going to be inspirations for him being what he is? I heard a rumour he will fight Iron Man in his film. Don't know how much truth's in that, but I've heard that. But these could be big players for him to shape his character.
I mean, for me, Marvel Comics set most of their main characters in New York because Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, Ditko, their offices were in New York. They were looking out the window, they could see things. He set it in their town. Fantastic Four's back to the building, New York. Daily Bugle, New York. Avengers Tower, New York. Daredevil, just down the road. Hell's Kitchen. So Spider-Man, if he's like a young teenager and he's seeing everything blowing up in his city, he might not be interested in Thor and the Hulk. It might be like, well, there's a guy down the road dressed in red, being the devil, beating the crap out of gangsters, and then there's Luke Cage down there, knocking 7 bells out of like prison wardens and stuff. It could be his local.
I seen a programme the other day. I forget what it was, but somebody was saying that I think it was John Campion on IMC. He was saying he'd rather see Spider-Man as a TV series rather than see him as in the film. But I think Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man belongs on the film on the big screen anyway. I always thought I think his tales are so cinematic.
I would have agreed with you entirely, except the Flash TV series. The Flash TV series, there Barry Allen is the best Peter Parker you've ever had. He is earnest, he's cute, he's lovable, he's funny, he looks like Spider-Man. And they're doing the Flash on a TV budget, and they've got them.
It's superb. Did you see the finale?
Yeah,
absolutely.
I've not seen any of them. I'm going to need to start watching it.
It is the best,
so behind
the best
TV.
superhero show on television by a good country mile.
I mean, it goes off subject a bit, but like Arrow obviously is setting up the DC universe, but it doesn't tie in with the films, but their television universe. I didn't think season 3 was very good.
I liked it. I liked season 3.
But Flash was stunning, absolute. That's their freshman season, and they nailed it. They didn't do anything wrong.
They brought in some amazing supporting characters. They brought in Firestorm, and it wasn't even like, oh, there's a dude and he sort of looks like Firestorm. No, it was Firestorm, and 2 people merged into one who were flying around launching fireballs at people. They brought in Captain Cold, Heatwave, Gorilla Grodd. They done a Gorilla Grodd episode, and instead
it looked superb.
It looked like he was a big giant psychic gorilla that could talk and beat people up. It wasn't even like, oh yeah, this sort of done Gorilla Grodd. It was.
So you reckon a TV series of Spider-Man, do you think that could work?
Yes, as excited as I got about the Flash, the point I was going in. I do.
Just to bring it back.
To bring it back to Spider-Man, but to be fair, he is Peter Parker. It'd work entirely.
It would, for the fact that I think now we've seen how Daredevil is, and I don't think a film of him would work because the way the series has done it, they've done so much detail into his backstory and stuff like that. It was set up really well.
And the supporting cast.
It's supporting cast and it is superb.
Well, then would you suggest maybe we use Spider-Man in the Marvel universe, but then maybe Sony do it as a television series?
It'd work as a Netflix series with the Marvel.
Well, I have, again, we're going into rumourville here. I have heard Daredevil will meet up with Spider-Man in his season 2.
I'd love it. I think.
I think it might be a small cameo, like they have in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. where Nick Fury turns up and goes, "Hey!" He doesn't do that, but
he has one of the Asgardians, didn't he?
She's been in it a couple of times, so she was in season 1 and then she turned up again in season 2.
What was that?
In Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Sif.
Sorry. And Crusher Creel, the Absorbing Man, was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and he's also the guy that Matt Murdock's dad fights in Daredevil in the boxing match.
Oh crap, the poster.
He talk about him fighting Crusher Creel.
Right.
It's the Absorbing Man!
So, I mean, maybe it could work with a TV series, but at the moment, like, obviously, because they're just starting off with him again, they're going to concentrate on the films because that's where the money is.
It's a license to print money, isn't it? Spider-Man.
It's ka-ching.
Sells t-shirts, sells toys, sells lunchboxes.
Exactly.
So, next question. What Spider-Man do you want to see in the future, Ben?
In the future, as in...
What
Different
where
levels
to-
of
from
phase
now?
4 or something like that.
Well, from now forward.
I mean, we've seen 2 different versions of Peter Parker, and we're going to get a third. I'm sticking to my guns, and I'm saying Miles Morales. He'd be fantastic. He's different. He's got different powers, and it'd just be cool to see a young Black Spider-Man, because there's not really any colour in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
You got what's his face, haven't you? The guy with the wings.
The Falcon.
Falcon.
Yeah.
And you've got.
But how late is he coming to the universe
Yeah,
now?
and the young supporting characters. You've got someone like Jaden Smith, for example, playing Miles Morales. Imagine if they went that route, and it'd be boss, it'd be funny, it'd be...
I'd love to see what's his face from Asgard. The guy. What's the guy's name? The keeper of the.
Idris Elba, Hemdall.
Yeah, I'd love to see more of him because he's an amazing actor as well.
I
I'd love to
thought
see
he
more.
would have been great for Blade.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
For like a rebooted Blade, and it was only the other day that someone went, well, he can't because he's the gatekeeper in Asgard. I went,
I wanted him to
Sorry
be
about that.
John Stewart Green Lantern.
Yeah, he was a great King Lantern.
So yeah.
But
What Spider-Man do you want to see in the
it's
future?
Peter Parker. It's always got to be Peter Parker for me because that's the Spider-Man I grew up with, and that. I mean, growing up, I didn't have the comics, and now you couldn't find them anyway. But I had the 60s Spider-Man cartoon that I used to watch very early in the morning. And then
Spider-Man.
in the 90s, I had Spider-Man the cartoon, which was for me.
Incredible.
It just brought me into it. That's how I know as much as I do with Spider-Man because of that.
That was pretty accurate as well.
And the
really.
X-Men one, and
Yeah.
it went in sagas where you had the Spider-Clone saga and stuff like that. You had the whole bit with Venom, and then when Carnage came into it, who's one of my favourite Spider-Man baddies.
They even had Daredevil
Yeah.
as his lawyer and stuff. So
But yeah, it's got to be Peter Parker, and I'd like to see if they have some like alternate ones where he sees Spider-Man 2099, because I think he's a great Spider-Man, and he should have had a film a long time ago.
Miguel O'Hara.
Yeah, he's a very snappy. He's more wisecracking. He's from the future. His suit looks awesome. So it is blue.
That's the mainly blue suit, isn't it, with the
Mainly
red
blue.
on
The
the...
crazy little wing thing.
Yeah, it's made like of nanites or something, and that's so it's a lot harder, and he has claws. So yeah.
They brought him in recently in the Spider-Verse comics. They had every Spider-Man ever, and someone was travelling through dimensions and killing each... Like, it's like the Jet Li film. But
Oh yeah.
killing each Spider-Man to gain their force, their life force, and going through...
Alright.
And it was
Well, I
like...
know the Spider-Verse figures have just been released now, and they're in our place now.
Yeah, it was excellent, and it was, as you say, every Spider-Man ever, but most of them were Peter Parker. Different versions of them.
Yeah.
Well, the Miles Moran is from the Ultimate Universe where Peter Parker has been killed, and I think he actually does wear his suit, and everyone's like, it's bad taste that.
Gets a new one.
Yeah, and he actually speaks to Peter Parker's family, like Mary Jane and his aunt Meg, and like he does get his new suit then where it's black and red. The suit is awesome. I must say it is an awesome looking
Yeah, I
suit.
do love that suit.
But the red and blue has got to be the one for me.
Yeah, and I think that's, for me, I'm the same. Peter Parker is the one I've known all the time, and I've never really seen any other incarnations of him. And so I think that's the one I'd like to see. But I think also when it comes to the world itself, the audience who don't really know that many different incarnations of Spider-Man, people who aren't as up to date with stuff, all know Peter Parker as Spider-Man, and I think they'll keep him for a long time yet anyway, before they change anything in the future. And a Spider-Woman comes into it or something.
Well, the Sony, there was rumours of a female-fronted Spider film, and everyone was thinking it was going to be Aunt May the movie or something. But if they did Spider-Gwen...
Just there cooking in the
Spider-Gwen, the gist was with the whole Spider-Verse thing, there's a parallel universe where Gwen Stacy was bitten by the spider and Peter Parker died, so she became Spider-Woman, and it's
That sounds good,
it's
actually.
ridiculously good.
Yeah.
But
If you haven't seen
I didn't like
it,
the cartoon.
Google
I've
an
seen the
image
images,
because
it's
his
fantastic.
suit looks fantastic. It's like red and black with the white kind of hoodie look to it, and the suit, you just look at it and go,
Does she have the spider wings?
No,
No,
it's like she's got like little blue pumps, and it's like black, white, and red, like pinky red,
Yeah.
and like a hoodie.
Oh, right.
But like, Captain Stacy's still alive, and Frank Castle's working the police department, but he's got a big beard and he's just permanently angry. Matt Murdock is working for the Kingpin, and he's a bad guy, and the Hand are working for him. So it's like a nice little twist on.
Oh, excellent.
But apparently, after Secret Wars, she's coming into the main universe,
Oh.
as is Miles Morales.
Okay.
So where is Peter Parker going?
For me, I'd sort of agree with Ben and agree with the other two. I'd start with Peter Parker. Maybe for 3 films. Maybe I'm not sure whether I'd have it the 3 films in the Marvel universe, but then after them 3 films, I would somehow change over to Miles Morales. I think, like Tim said, I think the general audience only know Peter Parker. I don't think they know beyond Peter Parker, the general audience.
Well, with the fact that where they're going with the Infinity Stones and that, there's no saying they can't have split off universes now.
Yeah,
to make a split off film from that.
Well, maybe you have your MCU, you have your Peter Parker in there, and maybe Sony goes with Miles Morales.
But not only that, the whole
Could
thing
do.
of the mainstream. I agree entirely. The mainstream audience only knows Peter Parker. He's had 5 movies, cartoons, since the 60s. But you could say to yourself, none of the mainstream audience knew who Guardians of the Galaxy were last year.
That's a good point.
And that was the biggest film of Marvel, apart from Avengers and Iron Man 3. So I don't really think it matters. Marvel have proven they can make anyone a star. Iron Man, Captain America and Thor were B-list. They were B-list characters because all the other good ones were a different studio.
And now they're
Everybody knows Iron Man now.
Little kids, when they dress up, who do you want to be, Captain America or Iron Man? Spider-Man costume sitting on the shelf gathering dust.
See,
Fantastic Four, X-Men.
See, when I was a kid, it was Spider-Man and the Hulk, because the Hulk had a TV series out, and the Hulk kept getting animated series, didn't it?
Yeah.
It had the 82 series, it had the 90s series.
Mine was Superman, Spider-Man and He-Man.
He-Man.
They were the...
I just watched loads, and but one that I will bring it up, and he's never really mentioned it until the last second, the cartoon video, Jason the Wheel Warriors. I love that scene.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's so good.
So just pop back in there. It's Jason the Wheel Warriors. I used to watch that all the
Oh,
time.
it's just, it had the best intro into it. That
Warriors.
80s music. And then the best outro as well.
Yeah, it's
it's just...
Except for the raccoons, they're entitled.
Oh, the raccoons.
Yeah,
the raccoons is unbelievable.
Saturday morning.
Cyril Sneer used to just wind me up so much. Sit there before live and kick
Get
every
his son
Saturday.
to be a bad guy.
Just leave him alone, he doesn't want to do it, Cyril. Just the stewing in my cornflakes. Not happy with this.
Yeah.
Class.
Right, next question. Now we move on to Cyril Sneer. Who do you think will be this next Spider-Man? What actor do you think will play him? Who do you think will be cast as Spider-Man?
So
We've just had more rumours come out on
yeah, so Asa Butterfield's out of the picture allegedly, according to the internet.
How he's the guy from Endgame, isn't he?
Ender's Game and
Ender's
Hugo.
Game,
Have you seen Hugo?
Yeah, Hugo. Yeah.
He's an excellent actor,
Yeah.
but
I don't feel... He just doesn't feel like the look
he
for
doesn't.
me.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah.
And is it Charlie Rowe and
Tom
Tom Holland, both of which look like Spider-Man should look, or should Peter Parker should look. I'd be happy with either of them. I'm going to recycle my fact that I used before we started recording, and that Charlie Rowe played the younger version of Andrew Garfield's character in Never Let Me Go and Adjusting My Invisible Tie. So that'd be quite interesting if they got a young Spider-Man and it was the guy who played the young Andrew Garfield.
Yeah.
I literally just agree, because I couldn't see anyone until he brought an image up of Charlie Rowe, and I was like, oh my god, he looks spot on. But you know, and sure, whoever they pick, he is going to look great and that. I can't say much more than that. I am gutted Garfield's gone, obviously, because he can't be brought into this, but yeah.
I'm the same as well, actually. I heard there was an issue with age though with one of them, because one of them's under 18 and they'd have to
Reduce
filming hours, so that might sway the...
But he'll probably be 18 by the time they get around to making the solo movie.
That's what's only a short bit now that they're doing for the Civil War bit, so it wouldn't be too bad. But yeah, when he gets a standalone film, he knows. I'd be 18 by then.
Hurry up,
They're waiting there at 12 o'clock.
At midnight.
And
go!
Just get a big cake.
All the lights go out of the window.
Sign this other contract. There you go.
oh, I'm going to be different just because I'm me. I still think he's been cast for a month or two, maybe even longer. I just think Marvel playing with us. I think Hollywood's playing with us.
Yeah, a lot of people have said
I still think there's a good chance to take Butterfield.
I disagree. I feel like if that had happened, someone like El Mayembe or Devon Faraci would have put it out there, because
someone would have spilt the beans.
Nothing stays secret anymore.
Yeah.
Especially
if Sony are involved.
Someone from North Korea.
If they ever hire a juggler, you know, fine. He won't be able to hold his balls, man.
Alright then, you've convinced me. Next question is, what interpretation of the suit would you like to see in the next one?
Ben Reilly, the one with like the blue
Pyjamas.
pants. Yeah, he looked like pyjamas, and he had like the little wrist gauntlets. I feel like we've had the perfect Spider-Man costume twice now. In the second one with Tobey Maguire, and the second one with Andrew Garfield. The Andrew Garfield one was unbelievable, with the big massive white eyes.
I love the eyes and the
that was spot on. I mean, I like the Amazing Spider-Man suit. It looked okay because they just altered it a little bit.
And then the shoes looked like he had like
they were like
track
shoes or something. Yeah. And then when I seen the promo for the Amazing Spider-Man 2, and you just seen his head, and I was like, that's the eyes. They've got the eyes, because my favourite looking Spider-Man is done by Seth MacFarlane.
The big, really big eyes.
Yeah, big eyes, the twisted joints and that, where you think, yeah, he would be able to do that.
Well, I think he went for that look anyway, didn't he? The twisted look, because when he was swinging from his webs, he was contorted in all different mad ways, wasn't he? In the Amazing Spider-Man.
The whole, I mean, I'm gonna get nerdy on you. It wasn't
that's what we brought you here for, man.
It wasn't Seth MacFarlane, it was Todd McFarlane. Seth MacFarlane's family guy.
Sorry.
I'm just like, as soon as you said McFarlane, I was just like, oh, it's just like, I just had
Peter Griffin. Peter Griffin is Spider-Man.
Peter Griffin along the washing line singing the Spider-Man song. But yeah, like the big massive eyes, the McFarlane eyes, the spaghetti webbing, the sinewy.
It's where Venom came in, didn't it?
As long as it's not like that, like 70s TV show they had, you know. Let's not go back to that.
The Japanese one with was it Spider-Man with his giant robot Leopardon or whatever. They bring that into Spider-Man. Every Spider-Man ever.
I seen the trailer for that and I was like, this looks awful. I need to see it.
Yeah, it's incredible. There's loads of costumes you could do. Black suit. If they'd done it properly, that would look incredible.
It's got to go. I think it's got to go down that line to get to that point. Though. It would look awesome, though.
But in the Ultimate Comics, they have the whole thing of the Oscorp suit to cure cancer. And you don't have to go with the alien route. You could have Peter's dad working in Oscorp, working on the suit, which I think they were going with in the Amazing Spider-Man films. But sadly, we're never going to see where that goes.
I believe there was like some imagery of a locker or something, wasn't it, with the Venom actual it was something leading towards
it. It's better than a random meteor just happened to be going back.
Yeah, I didn't like that. It was like the film Slither, but just done really cheaply.
Yeah.
Well, in the cartoon, which I draw a lot of my inspiration from, it was from Mars, wasn't it? And John Jameson brought it, and a great scene where the shuttle comes down on the bridge, and Spider-Man gets in there, saves him, and it like, gets on him. And I think there was another one in the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon, but I think that came round in the meeting. But that was a very good cartoon that got axed, and it was very close to how he is. I love the style of that and everything.
You go off on the tangent, going off the thing about what do you think of the current Spider-Man animated series?
Ultimate Spider-Man. It's pretty good.
I like it.
He's more kind of Deadpool, where he's breaking the fourth wall, and it's the little guy and he's going, oh gee, you haven't seen this, and I'll tell you what happened and stuff like that.
I love the Scotty little, what's the artist name, Scotty, just like the little baby
Scotty Young.
And the way he comes popping up on his shoulders. I love the little references to that.
They've tackled quite a lot of good storylines, and they've put him in with in fact, they've put him in with Luke Cage and Iron Fist in the SHIELD training camp, and he's getting trained up to be like an Avenger. Like it's sort of like the Ultimate Comics, but yeah, it is good. And they've brought in. I mean, there's an episode with Deadpool. I don't know if you've seen that.
I have not. I've seen the one with Wolverine, but not with Deadpool.
The Deadpool one's pretty good, and they've done a 4-part Spider-Verse of their own. It's not the same as the comics, but they've just done their own thing with like Spider-Ham and Miles Morales.
I'll have to watch these.
What's even better is Donald Glover. Do you watch Community?
I watched
Donald Glover from Community. There was all this internet furore years ago when they were making Amazing Spider-Man. It was like someone suggested him, and obviously people were like, "Oh, you can't have a black Spider-Man. Oh, that's ridiculous." Which is where they ended up creating Miles from, and he ended up doing the voice of Miles in the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoons, and it all sort of came full circle.
That's why Nick Fury became
Samuel Jackson,
because it was happening in the comics first.
Mark Miller.
Yeah, he wrote that for him, and I think there was a quip in the comics where he says, "Who would you be played?" And it was like,
of course,
Samuel Jackson. Yeah.
What was that question? Oh wait, the suit. What suit would you like to see, Tim?
I don't know. It'd have to be the classic red and blue with the webbing on it, but I don't really mind the raised webbing, but I don't even mind that if he has a gizmo to fire his webs, or whether it's.
I feel that's
genetic.
essential to have the gizmo for the fact that it shows he's a scientist. He's very clever, and he knows what to do. That's my only gripe with the Amazing Spider-Man 2, where he had to get help off Gwen, how to, beat Electro with his weapon and that. I thought, you should know this. You built them web shooters, you should know this.
But I like that they didn't have Gwen as just like a damsel in distress.
I understood that.
She was his equal in many ways, which I don't know.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
It was a Spider-Gwen fanboy.
It can get to be like it's just always the damsel in distress sort of thing, kind of like the way Superman with Lois Lane. I always find Lois Lane a bit of a
annoying.
Because she's always the one who's getting into stupid situations and
standing there shouting Superman.
And then Superman comes and says, "Oh, anyway, that's
he's having a scrap with Brainiac, and he's like, "Help, Clark! He's got blocked by Brainiac!" God damn it! They're using the laser beam from
Well, I think I mentioned before, I'd love to see the Alex Ross. It's a pretty basic suit.
The mirrored eyes.
I just think it's an absolutely beautiful suit. I love the artwork and the stuff from Alex Ross, even his Kingdom Come
anything
stuff.
he does, he could draw a crap character and make him look good.
Yeah.
Just the stuff he does is fantastic. I mean, I've got some of his DC like Kingdom Come and Justice. Justice is a very good one as well. Where they're all
poster he did with Harley Quinn and the Joker. That's unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
But the thing is though, Alex Ross is like, he's literally drawing it as if it was real. So it's like a man with a sweater and like mirrored eyes.
Well, that's what you look at him. You look at the Alex Ross stuff, and to me, it doesn't look like somebody's imagined it. It looks like the person's standing there and he's dribbling.
What was quite nice about Marvel is he did that whole book for his dad. His dad is the photographer in it. That he drawed his dad into it. That is his dad, and he done it as like a tribute to him, which is really like heartfelt that he done that.
I do like Alex Ross.
I just think I know it seems basic and it might look silly on screen, but I just love to see it tried, because I don't know about you three, but I'm done with the raised weapon now.
It doesn't bother me. I like detail and suits and that. I mean, if we're talking about suits, it's like Captain America his first suit. I didn't like it.
The World War II one.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
It is what it is. It's a World War II flight suit, isn't it?
Then
it's a jumpsuit.
In the Avengers, it looked good, but it looked stupid with his helmet. And then in Winter Soldier, it looks spot on.
Yeah,
The Winter Soldier suit, what he starts off with just Star and that looks a very kind of tactical thing.
Darker, didn't he?
The Super Soldier suit. He wore it in the comics for a while.
Yeah. I did like at the end where he put his old one back on, because it felt, I'm okay with that, because he's going back to, defeating Hydra. It's like, I've got to go full circle with this. I tried to defeat them in the past, I'm going to do it here.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I love the Captain America films.
They are very good.
Well, the first one, when I first seen it, I wasn't that impressed, but it's one of them films the more you see, you're more like, it's a grower.
Yeah.
I snuck onto the set of the first film. I should be revealing this.
Yeah, go on.
When they were filming it in Liverpool.
Why is the white fans out now?
When they were filming the first one in Liverpool, we went down to Shield are going to get it. Some of them really cheap Inhumans are going to come. me and my friend Neil, we walked to the docks where they were filming, and we were just gonna walk on. We just thought, let's just chance it, just walk in. This studio assistant or whatever, like a set assistant or excuse me, where are you going? Like, just gonna go and watch Captain America get filmed. And she was like, no, you're not. Have you got clearance? And I was just like, no, I haven't got anything. And then she's like, right, jog on. So we were like, bit dejected. We turn around, we start walking away, and we go, hey, lad! We turn around, this police officer running over to us. And we were like, you okay? And he was like, yeah, are you trying to get on this set? Yeah, right, well, what you need to do, if you go down this road here, take a left at such and such a street, turn round, follow it, and you'll be at the bottom end. You'll be just enough off the set that they can't get you. So when you watch the first Captain America film, when he first gets the superpowers and that yellow car flips over,
Yeah.
I'm standing at the end of the street.
Hey.
Playing to take.
Yeah.
I'm watching Captain America 1 tonight.
I'm watching it 3D.
But it's so funny that if you know that that's filmed in Liverpool, you can really see it.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
The heritage
Oh, yeah,
market.
yeah.
Oh, you can.
That bit where he saves, well, the kid falls into the dock.
Yeah, that's
That bit where the
Liverpool.
submarine's going.
Yeah.
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 I remember when it was all getting done, and it was just like,
Yeah.
this is why I love living here. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It made me proud to be living in
Wasn't the
Liverpool.
Fast and Furious? Was it the Fast and Furious 6 that was
Yeah,
filmed
something
there?
else.
Yeah.
Sherlock Holmes as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sherlock Holmes did loads, yeah. On another tangent here, I'll just go. I'm actually in a film from '97 called Hillary and Jackie, and if you watch the trailer, I mean,
You
the trailer
Hillary or
more-
Jackie? He's so versatile.
Yeah, it was I was in makeup. Basically, if you watch the trailer on IMDb, I think that version of it, the first scene you see is Jackie playing at St John's building, and I'm at the very front right row with a white shirt on. I stand out like a sore thumb. Then they haven't used that scene in the film.
But it's just in the
But
trailer.
it's in the trailer, but you can see me there. I'm at every other scenes as well, but you can hardly see me. But that's the one where I stand out the most
Better
in
than
the
the trailer
trailer.
in my
more.
school.
Hold on, let me just write that down. Watch
Yeah.
Hillary and Jackie 2.
And I'm actually going to be in another film called Genius, which has got Jude Law in it, which is coming out next year. And I'm actually going to be in a film shooting this week. I can't tell you anything about it. Or I'll get kicked
You're
out.
the new Spider-Man, aren't you? It's a waste of time.
Funny man.
Yeah.
Oh, love to be
Right.
Spider-Man.
Next question.
Got a tangent there, so.
What villains would you like to see going forward?
Mysterio would be up there because he looks amazing. He's got a big fishbowl for a head.
But would
That'd
they
be
do that
something,
though?
Yeah, you could do Quentin Beck, disillusioned, makeup and special effects
I
artist.
reckon they would have a fishbowl with armour and then it'd probably
Yeah.
slide back and
Or
forth.
you could have like a little projector inside, like
Yeah.
scary images. You could do like a, maybe not Saw, because obviously no kids would want to see Spider-Man versus Saw, but you could do a intense.
You could have
If you put him in like,
armour as well.
again, this sort of relates to the TV show question, but he's got enough villains to do that. You could do a couple of episodes on Mysterio, being a scary villain and kidnapping people. Aside from Mysterio, I'd like to see Venom done properly.
Yeah.
We all
I think
agree
everyone
with that.
would,
I think that's
yeah.
we all want the
Yeah,
atonement
honestly.
of Venom.
When I think of Venom, I think of the ultimate image of Venom with Spider-Man is on his back and he's pulling up all the
Yeah.
symbiotes and
Yeah.
he's like 10 sizes smaller than Venom. I just want to see that
He's
image.
huge.
He's absolutely huge and that's what I want to see.
If we're going with Venom, we've got to see Carnage. Because Carnage is, Venom's bad, but Carnage is psycho, as in he will just slice people up for the fun of it.
Again, though, they wouldn't necessarily put that in a kids' film, but you put them on Netflix, and you could do.
Exactly, yeah.
a Daredevil episode where Daredevil's prosecuting Cletus Cassidy, and he goes to prison, and Eddie Brock's in the cell next to him, and
Well, yeah. the Daredevil
I just
is...
use that exact sound effect.
I'm
It is a
available.
very dark series. I mean, is it episode 3 where the kid gets kidnapped?
Episode 2, is that? Yeah, where he fights along the corridor.
And he's absolutely busted up, but he's not going to let that kid get trafficked off.
That's what I've actually only seen. It's like episode 6, but that is one of the best scenes in that series.
He just wraps like the rope around his arm and he's like, poof, through the door, and that's it. He kicks off.
I had to take a breath after that when I finished watching it. It was just like wiping the sweat off.
I've noticed Marvel are liking these one-shot kind of things. I know it probably wasn't one-shot because there's a bit where the camera actually pans back round.
Yeah, they do all that.
And they did one in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which was, it was very short. It was only about 20 seconds, where Skye is in a Hydra base and she's just moving very quick.
Yeah.
But that was in one shot because the camera does not leave her back for a second. And it was very nice. So she goes down and shoots a guy, comes round,
Kevin
shoots him in the back.
Smith was saying with the other podcast with Mark Bernard, and recently they were talking about and Joe Quesada as well, actually, they were talking about the film, and they said apparently they did it like in one take about 6 times and then used the best bits, but it was done as one take.
Yeah, it's
every
possible
time
they can't cut them now.
because the camera was on the ceiling. The rails, instead of it being on the floor.
Right.
Because if it was going backwards and forwards, you'd see the tracks of the other on
Yeah,
the ceiling.
because they have that door in the middle of the corridor.
So you could go in and out the rooms and come back on themselves without leaving any...
It's simple but genius.
I didn't know that. I think that's absolutely amazing.
So, you say Mysterious, you say Carnage. Before we get to Tim, have you got any actors in mind who you'd like to play down characters?
Bruce Campbell as Mysterio. There was rumours, because he was in the first 3 Spider-Man films as 3 different characters, there was rumours that he was going to be Mysterio in either the 3rd one, the original version, or the 4th one. And it would make sense. He was a wrestling promoter in the first film, an announcer. He was the guy at the play in the second
Wasn't
one.
that Peter
Wouldn't
Parker?
let him in. Excuse me. And then he was the French guy in the 3rd film.
After dinner,
With a terrible French accent. And he could have been a disgruntled actor who was working all these jobs to try and he's, Peter Parker's beat me every time. It would have been excellent.
What about Carnage, though?
I don't know, I can't really I'm really bad when anyone asks me actors and that because I don't really remember anyone or anything. But
remember the rumours of Jim Carrey was going to be playing Carnage?
Yes, I was literally just going to say the same thing.
He's moved away from any of that because if you remember the whole shebang with Kick-Ass 2 and Guns and that, and he was all up for it. He actually really wanted to play that character.
He was excellent.
And then he was a very good part, and then it all fell down, and then he was like, he distanced himself so much away from it. And
I
hate
that film so badly.
It's a good film.
He didn't do best. Well, it's people give it a. I mean, it probably wasn't as good as the first, but it wasn't as bad as everybody said.
No, it's nowhere near.
But it wasn't nowhere near as bad as people said.
And the whole Mean Girls storyline with Hit Girl was incredible. It was so funny.
I think what annoyed me, because this is where you go from comic to film, and that is, it wasn't identical to how the comic was.
But Kick-Ass 2 as a comic is horrific.
It is horrific.
What did they do to that poor girl?
It is horrific, and they made a joke of it in there and that. But they shied away. Even the end in the comic was all these civilians, and you've had all these baddies, and they all just start taking the clothes off, and they're all dressed up as superheroes, and she goes, Avengers Assemble, and it's like, what? All these people have just dressed
up.
The
worst thing about Kick-Ass is that we can't say any of the character names.
No, we can't. I was going to say something
horrendously sweary.
Yeah.
I had to stop myself.
Going back to what you said, casting choices for Carnage, going back to my days of sitting on the IMDb message boards, just like casting Fantastic Four, my 2 choices for Carnage are Jackie Earle Haley, who was Rorschach in Watchmen.
Ooh,
stick a ginger wig on him again. He'd be bob on. I think he's in Batman vs Superman or Suicide Squad though, so maybe not. And
I don't know. Have contracts that forbid them for doing that.
Yeah, it would be like Marvel, no, with a big X.
No compete clause like WWF and WCW back in the day. The other guy would be, I don't know if you've seen the second Punisher film, the Ray Stevenson one.
Yeah.
And he was in X-Files. His name is Doug Hutchinson. He was the stretchy guy in X-Files way back when.
Oh.
He's like a ginger lunatic.
Yeah.
And he was Looney Bin Jim in the other Punisher. He'd be quite good. He doesn't even have to act much.
Oh, I know what you mean.
He's got like a crazy look all the time.
He's just not. He cuts up that guy, doesn't he, with the axe?
Yeah.
And it is the Punisher's look and go.
Yeah.
I know I kill people, but
he was crackers in the X-Files like 20 years ago. He used to come out of their hibernation every 5 years or something and eat people's organs.
Yeah, they come down the chimney and that.
Yeah.
I am looking forward to that coming back, but yeah.
What villains do you like to see, Tim, and you would like to see playing?
I'm not very versed in the Spider-Man universe for villains, but there is one I remember which I I don't think he's the best villain, so people probably go, he's crap. But
Dude, I'm praising Shocker.
But one that I'd like to try and see what they do with in the film universe is it Raven, the guy who flies? Craven, sorry, yeah.
The Hunter.
Yeah, the one who kind of flies around.
Vulture.
Vulture, yeah.
Even Malkovich was cast for the thing.
Yeah.
Really good.
I would like to see how they do that in the film universe to make it look, because he can fly. It's something new for Spider-Man to swing against him.
Maybe they could do it like the flight suit, like Falcon.
Yeah, they could do something
In
like
the
that.
second-
Either or they could have some kind of Batman style.
Amazing Spider-Man 2. The
Wings in the window,
with Dr. Octopus's tentacle.
Was it saying Craven would be good?
Kraven
Because
the
he has a very good storyline where he technically kills him, he dresses up and tries to be Spider-Man and that.
Lost Hunt.
It's a very good storyline because you see Peter Parker digging his way out to the grave and that.
It's like the Spider-Man Dark Knight Returns, isn't it?
It is. It's a very, very good story, but he watches how Spider-Man is, he acts, do you know what I mean? He because he's a hunter, so he's his prey. It would be quite interesting to see how he goes up against him.
But that's the thing, is like we're saying, Spider-Man kid friendly, and everything we're coming up with here is dark.
I mean, Spider-Man's whole background is dark. His family gets...
I think we made the mistake of, because he's a young character,
And he's funny.
we think he's aimed at young people, but maybe
He's
he's
a
not.
young guy, he starts off as Spider-Man when he's like 15 and that.
He gets all that pressure upon him.
Exactly.
It's his fault that his uncle gets killed.
Yeah.
And he's got that on top of him and he's only like, 17, 18?
15?
Yeah, or 15.
Civil War, the comic, he takes his mask off and says, "My name's Peter Parker, and I've been Spider-Man since I was 15 years old."
That's what the Thingo did, right? The new cartoon series is where he's been doing that for a while, and then these new heroes, and he's like, in a way, training them and saying, you've got to think of people first when you're in a fight. You can't just be going in there gung-ho to try fight them, because like one of them knocks a sign and he quickly webs it and goes, no, think of the people down there, we've got to save them, we can't be just fighting and not think of the consequences.
What film was it where he was launching the webs and throwing people into them?
Oh, number 2.
That's number 2.
Was it the Sam Raimi number 2?
Yeah.
On the train.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
That's, see,
We stopped the train.
the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films, the one thing they got right is that Peter was a hero and he did care about it. Like Sam Raimi's, his films were the 60s comics come to life.
Yeah.
And he did care about the great power, great responsibility. They just didn't have enough good villains. But
I always thought about the going off on tangents.
That's this whole podcast is going.
That's pretty much. It's Spider-Man.
the webs of Spider-Man.
The Spider-Man 2 for me, it was one of them comic book films. Is when you watched it, there was so many scenes that could be panels from a comic book.
Yes.
The image where he's standing on the machine that's welding the things, and he's pulling them apart with his webs. Where he's standing on the front of the train and he's pulling the webs there. There's so many images where he's holding the wall up.
There was a lot cut from that fight, because I remember back in the day when I'm a Blu-ray snob now. I remember back in the day they released Spider-Man 2.5 on film, and they introduced a lot of the cutscenes and stuff, but there was a lot of the cutscenes from that fight where he was going from another train and he went back to that one. I was like, hang on, that weren't in that fight. Yeah. And I'm thinking, why did they take that away? Because that was building up to that fight.
I'm still waiting for a Spider-Man 3.5. The amount of stuff that was cut out of that third film. There's like someone on the old IMDb message boards back in the day put paparazzi shots and publicity stills and snaps from trailers, and the amount of things that were in it that weren't used in the film, like Venom and Sandman meeting in a where they first met, it wasn't necessarily the same. Like, he met in a park, and then
he was in an alley, wasn't it? Also, because he's on the wall and he turns around.
And originally they met in a park, and then there was Sandman's daughter and his wife sat in the park, and there was a big giant sandcastle there in the sandpit, and it was him. And there was just little things they cut out.
That's nice. But I can kind of understand sometimes when people have to cut stuff, but I wouldn't put it past them to bring out another box set when this next Spider-Man comes out now.
Spider-Man Legacy.
There you go.
I've already cut bits.
Didn't they do that with Superman?
There's some massive, there was some crazy stuff. The Richard Donner which you spoke about in one of our videos. And it actually is a better film than the theatrical.
It's a shame they had to use old like
screen tests, weren't they?
Because it would have made it a lot better, because even the sound starts going funny in it and stuff. But
Sometimes
but
that adds to the charm.
it does a bit.
I've got the work print version. I've got 5 different versions of Blade Runner. I've got the work.
Yeah, I've got that. I bought it from America.
I do believe that's getting shown in July in the Fact Picture House.
Blade Runner.
Yeah. I don't know what version. I'm not going to say
All 5 of them after the other big movie marathon. No more Harrison Ford.
Hey, just before we leave the Blade Runner topic, he was definitely a replicant. It's not just me.
It's still up for the date, okay? We'll find out in the sequel if they ever did it.
No,
Oh,
say-
God,
say-
no,
say-
Blade Runner 2, Electric Boogaloo. That's what we want.
He's got to get rid of Prometheus 2 out the pan first and that before he gets this.
okay.
Don't be like that. I like it.
No, I like it as well.
I thought it was a great film. Going off on a tangent yet
I was going
again.
to say, you might want to cut all this.
No, because there's bits in Prometheus where then people wear big black suits that sort of look like the symbiote suit, and there's black goo in it, so it does tie into Spider-Man in the loosest possible way.
I love Prometheus. I think it just looks... I mean, I went to see it in IMAX when it came out. IMAX 3D, I think it was. And it just looks stunning. And I walked out. I've actually got posters that the Odeon did. And I've never seen them do posters for another film, so I've got them nicely put away.
The Prometheus for me, it may not have been the best film story-wise, but as it was shot, it was absolutely beautifully shot.
All the bits in Iceland, or was meant to be Iceland, filmed in Iceland at the beginning with him pouring the black goo into the water.
That was absolutely amazing, absolutely beautiful.
Also, we're talking about casting Carnage. The guy, his name's Sean Harris, I think.
English, isn't he?
Yeah, I know.
He was Ian Curtis in 24 Hour Party People. He was in Prometheus. He'd have been a
The one
boss.
with the tattoos,
Yeah.
the audience.
He'd be a good Carnage.
Yeah.
He'd be a really good kind of
Because
thing.
he's a bit angry and
Nice to
Yeah.
Totally meant, by the way.
And Charlize Theron, aka the new Captain Marvel. Fingers crossed.
What storyline would you like to see going forward?
We touched on Craven's Last Hunt.
Yeah.
And we've already done the death of Gwen Stacy and the Stacy family bullying. I'd like to see something completely new, something different, maybe. Something more, I don't know, involving the supporting characters, maybe make it a smaller scale film, but still have, I don't know. I don't know if they should adapt any one comic storyline, or they should just take, because some of them are such big scales at the end, and I don't know if I want a worldwide.
So you don't want him turning into a spider then, no?
No, I don't want Spider-Verse, I don't want Man Spider. I'd like just a nice personal Peter Parker movie. Something like, I don't know, like I don't know if you read the Dan Slott comics, but he sort of brought it back to Peter Parker and back to that. And I think that's where we need to go, is just focus on him. And
I think I'd like to see him just save people from things, like, kind of like...
We don't see that enough in superhero films anymore.
Yeah, but the little things, like, just kind of like, there's like a little montage in most superhero films, like Superman the movie, RoboCop and that, where you just see them just saving people for like the next 10 minutes. I'd love to see something like that again, just like things where like, saving a mugging.
That's what the Avengers... I mean, I've got a friend in work and we've always said how a superhero film should kick off. Avengers 2 did it perfectly.
It's the James Bond. The James Bond over.
Yeah. Mid-mission. That's how all superheroes should do, where he's fighting an enemy and he could be fighting Dr. Octopus there and you go, I don't care, don't need to know what's going on. I like this.
Because that's Spider-Man. Spider-Man's doing what Spider-Man does.
Yeah, and then just have flashbacks later on. I mean, with this Man of Steel film, they did the best origin they did with the way they did the flashbacks and that, so we didn't have it all day, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Man of Steel should have just done 2 hours of Russell Crowe on Krypton. I didn't watch that.
Yeah. Well, there was talk of they were going to do a
I think there's room.
spin-off film, wasn't it? With Russell Crowe, just
a TV series on the Sci-Fi Channel. Superman's granddad. And I really wish that was a joke.
They could do more about Zod and stuff, couldn't they?
The Zod, the Ellen Zod family.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. They should do.
Yeah.
Like, it should start off with like Spider-Man whipping down this. Well, actually, look, they did it with Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, they did.
With
And that was probably one of the best bits of Amazing Spider-Man 2 was the beginning until Rhino came in and ruined it.
Do you know what really... I didn't notice it the first time I watched Amazing Spider-Man 2. There's so many scenes where people talk to the camera. Like,
No, just that.
well, I watched it with my missus and she was just like, why is everyone looking at the camera? I was like, what do you mean? When Alexei Siskovich, or whatever his name is before he's the Rhino and he's driving the car at the beginning, and he's like, he says his name to the camera, and he's like, oh, Alexei Siskovich, and it's like, why are you doing this? And then when Jamie Foxx becomes Electro, he's like, a world without Spider-Man. straight to the camera.
Maybe they thought they were making Deadpool.
Yeah. He's monologuing again.
What annoyed me with that driving scene is where he actually goes to start cracking the window. And it's like, hang on, you're taking a few good swings at this little windscreen, yeah, you'll flip off to a bus.
Yeah, you can carry a bus, you can hold the building up, but you can't smash a window.
Yeah, every time it annoys me.
That was a testament to toughened glass, though.
I love all the quips where he's on you see his legs and he's hanging down, he's going, oh, do you want your hand like that? Never mind all the people that are getting blasted.
But that was Spider-Man, wasn't it?
That's what I like
Spider-Man too.
That
was Spider-Man. It may have sounded silly to some people, but it wouldn't have sounded silly to the people who read the Spider-Man comics, because that's what Spider-Man is.
If you make it like Tony Stark, that type of dry humour, I think he'll go down really well.
Tony Stark, the whole character of Iron Man was made by Stan Lee for you to hate him, but in the end, love him. Do you know what I mean? He was made to be hated.
And weapons dealer, yeah.
Exactly.
He's a weapons dealer, he's spoiled brat, he was
in the comics, don't think they're ever going to go down that line with the films. He was an alcoholic and that. I remember one bit where he asked Captain America for his help and he's like, no, you need to sort yourself out.
Well, I don't know whether you might have heard this, Ben, that for Iron Man 2, that was what was meant to happen. But they bottled it.
Yeah.
And when they bottled it and he went with a poison from his...
That's right,
instead, but they were going to go for the alcohol.
Because that's why he was being a bit of a grump.
Yeah.
And he was being a bit...
Because that would have it would have focused for a lot of people then, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think with superhero films you can tackle big issues for people and do it very well, and thinking, well, I might go seek help because I've seen this.
Yeah.
I might be just being dead positive over stuff and that, but with Spider-Man, for me, he's always been my kind of superhero, because I bullied when I was a kid and that, and he got bullied, do you know what I mean? So you relate to him, that's why he's a very relatable character to people.
That's why probably.
But he always is, there's always, you keep going, be better.
Alright then, so final question is, to wrap up, what Spider-Man do you think we'll see in the MCU?
I think we'll see Peter Parker with a pretty traditional suit, and they're going to give people what they want, and they're going to give them a good Spider-Man, a funny Spider-Man, and they're not going to drag it out, they're just going to be like, here he is, and he's off running.
What villains do you think we'll see?
If the Matthew McConaughey rumours are true, we're probably going to get a third or fourth Green Goblin.
And what do you think of that?
I like it. As I said earlier on, I do agree with Norman Osborn in the MCU. Even the Hobgoblin, I just want to see some good costume design.
I think Norman Osborn, I think if you're going to go with Matthew McConaughey, and I think I said in the conversation we had, I think they're going ultimate there. I think they're going a big, massive, because he's a
Hulk, like trying to recreate the super soldier.
He's a big fella, isn't he, Matthew McConaughey? And I don't think you'll necessarily see him as the Green Goblin in the first one. No. I think it'll be the third one.
Just a setup.
I heard rumours they were going to mention Spider-Man and Oscorp in the Ant-Man movie.
There's rumours that he'll be in the end credits.
Yeah, end credits scene, isn't it?
Well, come on, I bet no one here has seen the false end credits scenes.
I've seen it.
I was like, that went on there, but that looks brilliant.
Well, I remember watching them on it as I'm going, you can tell it's fake, it looks awful. No, it doesn't.
it's like really well.
If that was cleaned up and I could just see what was going on, I think, yeah, that's real.
Yeah. I agree with Ben. I think we're gonna get a very young Peter Parker. He is going to be in school for what we know, and that's so he's going to be dealing with the school life with being a superhero and that. Do you know what I mean? Which I think is quite good, because with the other films we breezed over it quite quickly, and that
was the whole point of rebooting it, was that we're going to do high school age Peter Parker. He graduated in the first film. What the heck was that about?
Yeah.
We're going to do high school Peter Parker, and it's going to be him holding down his job, and he's going to be doing this, and it's like, graduation right away.
But he never had a job, I can't remember him working, did he?
Did Jameson get mentioned at all?
In the Amazing,
No?
yeah.
Yeah.
It does.
Does he?
Yeah, he does get mentioned, you don't see him.
straight away, isn't
Yeah, because he's got his camera.
Oh, does he get mentioned in the email? Or
It's in the second one, he gets an email, and it's in the second one where his aunt has just gone back for a nursing job and that.
Yeah,
And he's going, I've got to sell a few more pictures, and he's going, that Jameson, he doesn't pay her enough and that, and he goes, he pays me fair.
He could never recast Jonah Jameson. Jonah Jameson was cast the best
Yeah,
any comic book character ever.
Well, there's talk of them trying to get J.K. Simmons back, isn't
He
there?
does the voice of the Web Warriors cartoon.
Yeah, there's talk of them getting them back, and normally I don't agree with bringing people from old films back into reboots, but I would be all up for J.K. Simmons.
Anyone would complain.
I was going to say, I
Did you
think
ever
the
see
consensus is a big thumbs up on that.
But there was another rumour as well that J.K. Simmons was going to be in the third one of this universe, and yet again that name popped up.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey's Jonah Jameson.
That's the one I had.
He became
Interesting.
mayor of the
I don't know.
city in the comics.
He needs to be kind of a hard.
But I think he could do that. But I think what Jim Carrey do is
Kick-Ass too.
That's
He had the
true,
buzz
yeah.
cut.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mustache.
well, I think he could,
Yeah, I suppose he could do. Yeah.
I think he'd just be a more accentuated version of him, wouldn't he? He'd be a more comic book version of it. But
J.K. Simmons just won an Oscar as well. His price is going to go right up.
yeah.
Well, you need to bring back the bugle and that, and him being a photographer, because in The Amazing it was kind of skimmed over, and that to a sense that you didn't see him going there, you didn't see Jameson.
But you've had 3 films of that. You've had 3 films of him being a photojournalist. There was the third film was a massive plot point of him arguing about photo credit with Eddie Brock. He's like, you photoshopped my picture. And then you have a little scrap.
But essentially, that's where, as a young person,
Yeah.
he's going to be getting his money in that. You want to see that. You want to see him struggling to...
The Ultimate Universe had him as a web designer. So do that.
Tim?
I'd just like to see him like really nerdy and do some science stuff as well. I mean, like, really like show his smartness, like we were talking about before.
Yeah.
Even if he does build like the little web.
Well, I think in The
that's
Amazing
great.
Spider-Man they came across really well. I just think it lost it in,
It lost its way, yeah.
in The Amazing
Yeah.
Spider-Man 2.
So I'd like him to keep his smartness throughout consistently in the films and stuff.
That's
so.
it, because it shows you it's great to be a nerd now. I think the way we are now, it's great being a nerd. It's great
With
being
the cool
involved.
people now,
Yeah.
That was
a
it's
surprise
them
when
lads, come and get us. But it's great being, into science and stuff like that. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. The one thing I will say about the Andrew Garfield part as Spider-Man, and I don't know whether you'll agree with me, I could never see when you see him, especially in the playground scene where he's going, pick him up. What do you say to him? No, put him down, Eugene.
Yeah, Eugene.
Put him down, Eugene. But you could never ever see Andrew Garfield being bullied by anybody.
No, because he's massive.
Yeah, and you think Peter Parker would have been bullied before he became Spider-Man.
Yeah,
How would he ever get?
What I love in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, I know we've hammering going back to this, is the kid with the little science project.
That's amazing.
And all the bullies are on him, and he comes down, they all crap themselves. Self-censored myself again. But they crap themselves, and he's like, oh, what's this? Because the kid's interested in science, he fixes it for him. He's saying, you make that? And they're walking down, and he asks his name, and he goes, oh yeah, I'm Spider-Man and that. And he's like, he's walking him home. It's like,
Especially with his web.
But the thing is, though,
that's
as a comic geek, I know Spider-Man's web dissolves after an hour.
Yeah.
So he fixes it with his web, the kid takes it to school, and it'll just fall apart. Kid gets an F, gets back. Not so amazing now, are you, Spider-Man?
amazing for the moment.
But what I will say is, well, in Spider-Man 2, on the turnover on that, I hated the bit with the kid at the end, where they all
Don't tack on me there.
oh no way.
What you should do when you put this podcast on is you should get screen caps of all 5 films of Spider-Man standing in front of the American flag. It's in all of it.
Especially 3, where he's coming at the end, he's fluttering behind him and he's coming through.
One of the things we were talking about was that because of his science knowledge and stuff like that, is that he might start talking with Tony Stark in Civil War.
Yeah.
And start a bit like, because Bruce Banner is gone now, and so he can't talk with him, converse with him about science. So there's him left now.
But the thing is,
So,
is
well,
Tony,
you know, as a kid,
is
though.
Tony going to listen to a child?
But that might be the
Might be like
well, not being
conference.
funny, he doesn't listen to gods, so...
Well, that's true, yeah. He's not going to listen to anyone.
No, he's
Might be like an apprenticeship kind of deal. He might go to work for start.
he could do.
He could, instead of working for the Bugle, he could
Well,
do
he could do both, because Bugle's a part-time job, and he just takes pictures of Spider-Man when he's dressed in the costume.
that kid from Jurassic World who was in Spider-Man 3. He'd probably be a good Peter Parker when he gets older.
Yeah.
Do you know, was it Iron Man 3? Sorry.
I'm on
Iron Man
3, yeah, Iron Man 3.
Iron Man 3, sorry, yeah.
Because he called him the mechanic, then
He called Tony the mechanic, yeah.
Mm.
I think when he gets older he'd be...
Oh, yeah. That was very good. I liked it when he walked in and sort of it's all done up. It's cool.
Do we think, you know, going back to actually the question here, are we going to see Iron Spider?
Is he going to build him that suit? There you go.
Because that's in Civil War, that he gives him that suit.
It was just before he gave him the suit, yeah.
Yeah. This
So
is where
he-
John Campion at AMC kicked off.
There's a YouTube video set in America, AMC, don't know whether you watch them, AMC Movie Talk.
Right.
No.
And I sent a
The
question in.
thing.
I sent a question in, didn't I?
Yeah, under the super.
And on the SuperNerds game
yeah.
saying, do you think we'll see the Iron Spider suit?
Episode
And so
13. Or,
he
no,
kicked-
episode 12 it was.
He kicked off.
Really?
He was going, Spider-Man doesn't need a Spider-Man suit, he's already superhuman. Why would he
Doesn't need an iron suit. Yeah. Shouldn't be in an iron suit.
He doesn't. It looks awesome, but the thing
How does
is,
he climb walls with it though?
he's got. It's like Doctor Octopus.
yeah,
He's got
it's
kind of
three-
claws.
Wreck
three
everyone's
way
like houses and stuff.
But it's good because then he kind of says, "Well, I don't need this suit to be Spider-Man. I just need." You know, that red and blue cloth. I mean...
It's because in Civil War, when he outs himself,
Yeah.
I think, is it the Thunderbolts? Someone goes after Aunt May, anyway, and she ends up in hospital, and that's when he
So that's when he's declared his identity.
Yeah, and I think he gets battered in the tunnel.
He batters Iron Man before that.
Yeah, and then he gets beat up by a load of supervillains, and Frank Castle brings him to
The
the Secret
Punisher
Avengers.
comes and basically kills them. Who
Yeah.
have come after him. They're like no-name characters, one with a
Like
pumpkin head.
Jack-O-Lantern and all that.
Yeah, and then he brings him to Captain America, who's obviously on the other side of the fence, and he's all bloodied up and that. And then Captain America just starts laying into Frank Castle, beating the crap out of him. And then like they're talking in the background, going, "Why is he not defending himself?" He's got too much respect for Captain America. He won't touch him. And that. It's because he's killed them. Yeah, rather than battering them. But to be fair, you wanted him to kill them. But Spider-Man was bleeding
how many
out.
people did Captain America kill in World War II?
Yeah.
Quite a lot.
You see him with a gun off, don't you?
Yeah, he'd run around with a machine gun, blowing people
Not being
away.
fun, I've just seen him squash 2 people with a motorbike in Avengers 2.
I love that shot. That
Frank Castle, put the pistol down. Harley Davidson to the face.
Should we wrap up?
Yes, let's wrap up. Right, Ben, any listeners that have interested in you, where can they find you?
I'm on Twitter at Hail_Leviathan. It's HAIL_LEVITHAN. It's basically it's what they say in Batman Incorporated. My Twitter tag is an evil cult.
Every time I go to mention you in a video, by the way, I get the pronunciation absolutely wrong.
Hail Leviathan. Yeah.
Hail Leviathan.
Unfortunately, yeah, that says it all.
Probably the one word I can't say, and you've decided to call yourself it.
Well, you know,
You don't know, I love that name, Leviathan.
I just like being old.
Like, how can you say it so easy?
Leviathan, because it's been in so much. It's supernatural, you have the Leviathans, it's just...
It's in the Bible.
I love it because you just think it's something massive and evil, and it's like, yes.
Yeah, so that's where I am on Twitter, and I'll probably be having some either short stories or graphic novels or something coming in the next 6 months to a year, so
Keep your ear.
keep your ears, eyes, and
Well, SuperNerds are keeping them informed.
SuperNerds, yeah, we'll
Keeping
let
them
people
informed
know.
as well.
Cool.
Where can people find you, Simon?
As always, you can find me and my other compadres at SLIGaming on Twitter and on YouTube. The link is in the Twitter page as well. But I'm sure these wonderful guys here will put it on the video.
We certainly will.
Yeah, and we're just all about Let's Plays and nerdy talk on our Talkface episodes and my Z-Box unboxing, which I enjoy doing.
Hang on a second, so you're telling me that they're going to link us, and I've just gone through the effort of spelling.
Did you not see me looking weird?
I was too busy focusing on L.
Someone would listen to this going,
What the hell is a Leviton?
Tim, where can people find you?
you can find me on my personal Twitter, which is at Timbo42. Or you can find me on the SuperNerds Twitter, which is SuperNerds_UK.
As always, you can find me on SuperNerds_UK on Twitter, and you can find me on my personal one at Ian Young Cop. Don't forget to check out our website on www.supernerdsuk.com. And thanks for listening, and thanks for being here, guys.
Thank you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for being on the show. Just so if anyone asked, the 42 is for life, the universe, and everything. So there we go.
Thanks for listening, and we'll speak to you soon.
Switch the thing off.
You gotta leave that in.